You are awakening spiritually, and you are going out into the world, and life can sometimes seem very challenging, especially in this time that we live in. You might be extra sensitive to the things that are happening around you, or to the things that are happening seemingly to you. And there are those schools of thought that we manifest or create the things that happen to us in this world. And maybe there is some truth to that. You can manifest things that you would like to see in your experience. You can create things that you would like to see in your experience. But there are some things that we are unable to control. For example, if you are alive, and since you're watching this, I can safely say that you are, you're going to die. And that's something that we are unable to control. One of many things that we are unable to control. So let's say life is not necessarily challenging you because you manifested that. Let's just say that life is doing its thing. That things are going to happen. Some of it you have a preference for, and some of it you'd prefer didn't happen. Life can be very challenging when a lot of those unwanted things show up. As you are a person who is awakening spiritually, you are potentially more sensitive than other people, and you're more alert and more aware of the things, the subtle things that happen in life, but not only the subtle things that happen around you, but the subtle things that happen within. You're noticing how you feel about life and the thoughts that you have more readily. And as you become more aware, those things can really stand out a lot more, and it can be really uncomfortable. Our first instinct is to, and this is something that we're trained to do, that first instinct is to have an aversion to what you're feeling. We naturally move away from anything, that we don't like, that we don't have a preference for. And we're naturally drawn towards those things that we do have a preference for. So if you experience something that doesn't feel good, not only do you want to then avoid the experience that brought that up for you, you want to avoid acknowledging the emotion. When we do that, when we avoid looking or sitting with, being with the emotion, it won't fully be released from your energy, really, for lack of a better word. It doesn't fully get released. It kind of stays with you. And then an event will happen and that feeling comes back. And then an event will happen and that feeling comes back. And it can sometimes grow, especially if you don't want to look at it. So that's something that you might carry with you now. And you'll have what people call triggers, certain known triggers, and it's helpful to know what your triggers are. However, we can sometimes get stuck in feeling like life is victimizing us. Why does this thing always happen to me? Whenever I do that, this always happens. It just feels like I'm being pushed down all the time or downtrodden. And it can definitely feel like that life is pushing you around, and that there are all these events coming up that are challenging you so much. And it's just like, when is this going to be over? When will I get to the end of this seemingly bottomless pit? And you peel back those layers, especially when you're doing the healing work that you're doing and the spiritual growth that you're having. When will I get to the end of this? Yes, life is challenging you, but it's not challenging you out of spite. Life isn't spiteful. It's just life. It's just happening. And you know that intellectually, you know that on some level, but there's a deeper part that's when it's not the deepest part of you, but there's something, what you could possibly call the conditioned past in you that is not yet seen. That's a part that we sometimes call the unconscious or the subconscious, and it can sometimes influence how you feel, and it can sometimes override your emotional balance and your senses and masquerade as you for a time. But life is happening. It simply is. And as you stick with your practice of noticing, being alert to how you're feeling, what's going on, keep some of your, let's call it curiosity, some of your attention within. As you go about your day, as you go about your life, keep some curiosity within you and be aware of what your experience of life is. When you do that, you might notice sometimes, if you're in a good mood, an event will happen and it won't bother you so much. Maybe you're more in touch with the totality of who you are. You're assured because you're aware of the depths of your being that cannot be, it can't be shaken, it can't be disturbed. When you are more aware of that, something might happen that would normally bother you. It doesn't bother you anymore. It just happened. And life is going to keep happening. Things that are wanted and unwanted will continue to happen. So it can seem like a lot is being thrown at you at times. But what if it's not happening to you, but it's happening for you? I mean, we've got all this stuff that we could carry around with us in this moment. But how will you ever see what's there unless things around you kind of highlight that for you? After I had a massive shift in consciousness where I moved my awareness to the depths, rather than being completely identified with this mind-made version of me, the thoughts, the preferences, all of the events, all of the things, hurts that I'd carried with me, all of the traumas. When my attention became predominantly focused on the deeper self, life, I couldn't get enough. I had to get out into the world, and I wanted to be challenged. I wanted life to challenge me. I needed to see what needs healing. Let's go and talk to that person. Let's go and do that thing. I want to get out and engage with the world, and I want life to challenge me more because I want to see what needs healing. I appreciated that person over there for misunderstanding me in a big way and making out that I was a not nice person. Thank you. You showed me that that bothered me, and it doesn't matter. I can heal that now. I can look at that and I can say, well, if you think I'm not a nice person, unfortunately I can't change your mind. I can't convince you otherwise. It is how it is. But thank you for showing me that how other people perceive me is important to me. I'm ready to let that go now. That's not who I am. Just one tiny example of when you are spiritually aware and awake, you're sensitive to those subtle things. And when someone accuses you of being nasty in some way, that could be really hurtful. When you're a sensitive person, when you're spiritually awakening, that can be really hurtful. But when there's nothing there to be hurt, it won't be an issue for you anymore. And so life might appear to be challenging you, but it's just being life. And it can highlight for you what it is that you just need to see and witness. Okay, there's that pattern. Without the words, you can just see it. And when you see it clearly, without reacting, without believing that's who you are, without letting that experience take you into a whirlwind of thinking and worries and concerns, and when that becomes uninteresting for you and you just observe what is here in front of you, that emotion that has come up, that's when you can let it go. That's when maybe life will challenge you and you'll have something else to heal. But when you release more of that, or understand's probably not quite the right word, but when you realize that that isn't who you are, and you let go of more of those things that aren't who you are, you can just enjoy that. You can enjoy that experience. You can laugh at the thoughts and feelings, the ideas that might come up. You know, sometimes you might have these absurd ideas come up that I can't think of any right now, but you might have some, or catch yourself thinking something really absurd or serious or angry or complaining, and you might laugh at that because you're beginning to recognize that it's just a thought, but that's not you. So, yes, life can be challenging. You didn't necessarily manifest it, but it doesn't have to be seen as an enemy that is victimizing you. It can simply be something that it can be painful to allow yourself to be challenged by life. That can be really confronting to face that. But it is what it is. Neighbours are going to mow lawns at inopportune moments. And that might be something that has bothered you in the past. Maybe the neighbour's dog was bothering you in the past, but now you could see it differently. The neighbour isn't mowing their lawn to inconvenience you. They're mowing their lawn because their lawn needs mowing. It is what it is. And so you bring your awareness to the spaciousness within you, the stillness within. And when you are deep within that stillness, there is joy here and peace. And what happens then is only of secondary importance, because this is the foundation. Here is the foundation. Now is the space from which you can truly embrace your experience of life.